Hello, my name is Jingo Nelly, and today we are going to be continuing from where we left off. That is a continuation of the where did the ROSI statistics go. So before I begin off, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It will bring you some good luck in your forthcoming exams. So point number 2, we are having the gross mismanagement of the Ugandan economy by Amin's men, and who were popularly known as the Mafuta Mingi. So with these men, many of them that were given these businesses lacked entrepreneurship skills, creditworthiness, so they were inexperienced to do the businesses that were given, hence mismanagement of such businesses. Then we are having point number 2, that is introduction of the economic distortions. So with these economic distortions such as price controls, which led to emergence of black markets and also the hogging of goods. Then we had high import tariffs, which led to smuggling of goods. Then we also had excessive printing of money to finance the fiscal deficits. Now with this led to high inflation of around which was being estimated to be 216%. Then we are having the fixed exchange rate regime, which led to a shortage of the foreign exchange. Now remember, during the period of Amin, the inflation was estimated to be in to exceed 100%. So that's why they recorded an inflation at that time of a rate of 216%, meaning the economy was not doing so well. Remember, I told you in the previous video that due to the coming of Idi Amin, despite the fact that the Ugandans were being oppressed by the Asians, still their chasing away of the Asians did not make the economy of Uganda prosper. It just deteriorated it the more because of the following reasons. So, and they made Uganda forget about the 10-year decade, which we had looked at in the previous video still, which was regarded to be among the good old days. That was post-independency up to 1971. So those days are believed to have been one of the good days for the economy of Uganda, that post-independence decade. So moving on to another point, we are having the fiscal indiscipline. With the fiscal indiscipline, this had too much spending, in that the government used to spend a lot than what it used to bring in. In other words, too much too much spending on unproductive sectors of the economy, such as military, government. So Amin is known to have started an arms race and big public spending. This led to high budget deficit, increasing an annual rate of 23%, and was financed by simply printing of money. Then we are having another point, which is collapse of the formal sector. Now with this, many businesses collapsed, leading to inflation and insecurity, and also there was reduction of taxes by 6% since the formal sector had collapsed. Then we are having another point, which is drastic fall in foreign direct investment. This is because of the economic war, which was caused by Amin due to the chasing away of the Arabs. Then we are having the escalating foreign and domestic debt. This is because the main donors were IMF and World Bank, and they seized the funding of the Ugandan. They seized their funding to the economy of Uganda. So with that, by 1980, the Ugandan economy had reached an unprecedented state of decay. production had collapsed, and there were rampant shortages of external commodities such as soap, sugar, drugs, and prices had gone through the roof. That is, there was an inflation rate of 216, and physical infrastructure had been destroyed. So, with all that, uh, the 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 overall GDP, and I'm to look at the overall GDP had fallen between the 1971 and 1980 by 40%. So the period between 1971 and 80 has been described by political and economic pundits as having been a political tragedy and an economic disaster for Uganda. So that is the period of 1971 and 1980. So moving on, in summary, the main causes of the political economic performance during the 1970s were: so it was due to economic war and subsequent distortions, political turmoil, social disorder, a high overvalued exchange rate, then export taxation, and quantitative restriction on imports. So with that, we are heading to Obote II's economic recovery program, that is of 1981 to 1985. This is when Obote came in and took power. So in 1981, the economy began a program. So in 1981, the economy began a program of economic recovery under the secondary government of Milton Obote. So the program aimed at raising the real GDP, growth by 5%, and then reducing inflation rate to annual rate of 25% in order to re-establish macroeconomic stability, reviving production and securing operational and long-term finances from external sources, improving micro management policies to encourage the mobilization of domestic resources. Then we are having also some of the reforms which Obote II introduced under the 1981 to 84 ERP. So there was a floating of the Ugandan shilling on the foreign exchange market to strengthen the BOP, which was being determined by the forces of demand and supply. Then we are having he dismantled the price controls. That was to do with the domestic the prices for the domestic goods and price and services. Then we are also having, he introduced a dual exchange rate. It means that there was value of the shilling in terms of other exchange rates. Then we are also having the increasing producer prices for export crops. Then we are having restoration of investor confidence by persuading foreign companies to return to their former businesses, which had expropriated. Then we are having rationalization of tax structures and control of government expenditure. Then the last one, they brought back IMF and also the World Bank. Then some of the achievements to look at between 1981 and 18 and 1984, the GDP grew by 6% per annum. Then by 1983, inflation moved from 164% per annum to 21%, in 1983. So you could see that inflation greatly reduced. So then we are having, there was reduction in the overall budget deficit, and then also domestic credit to government was cut down. So here a limited amount of money being borrowed was cut down. Then the value of the shilling was stabilized, and then we're also having productive capacity of the economy was recovered. Then the economic growth restarted partially due to increased external planning. So with that last point, it was not included but added there, point number 7. Then we go to the reasons for failure of the 1981 to 84 ERP, which included a renewed outbreak of civil strife, and it was brought about by the Ruero-Bosch War. Then we are having government commitment to the program was weak. And then the third point, there was overly expansionistic fiscal and monetary policy. I told you fiscal and monetary policy, they look at the fiscal looks at the government taxes and expenditure, and then monetary policy looks at the money demand and money supply. So then we go to the next point. There was a drastic fall in the GDP by 8.5%. That is by 1984. And then the last point, little progress was made towards improving structures and administration. And with that we shall look at the NRM's economic recovery program next time. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.